On the evening of July 25th, 1961, 64 years ago, President John Kennedy went on national TV that evening and gave a speech that today seems a little quaint to this country. Basically, he spoke about the need for Americans individually in their homes and in communities to build bomb shelters. Now, this was in response to the Soviet Union constructing what will later be known as the Berlin Wall, but really at the time it was just a barbed wire fence across the city of Berlin to keep people from going from East Germany to West Germany. But it caused a great deal of anguish in the world as they thought, what's going to happen when these two superpowers, the Soviet Union and America, confront one another? So President Kennedy spoke about the need for people to construct bomb shelters in their homes, for communities to construct bomb shelters. He encouraged Congress to identify spaces that could be used as bomb shelters and encouraged individuals and community to stock up on essentials that would be needed for survival in such a situation. This issue came back again 14 months later during what's called the Cuban Missiles Crisis, when people were afraid that there would be a nuclear war between the two superpowers at the time. It was very frightening. It was fortunately both times the sides backed down, but Nikita Khrushchev, the premier of Russia at the time, made the statement that if we did have a nuclear war, he said the living will envy the dead. That destruction would be so bad in the aftermath. The aftermath was portrayed in a made-for-TV movie by ABC in 1983. In November that year, they showed a movie called The Day After, which showed the effects of what would happen in a nuclear war. They showed the same movie translated in the Soviet Union in 1987. Now, I can remember the big impact it had on people who saw that movie. Today, strangely, no one builds bomb shelters. Nobody talks about civil defense, and we don't hear the sirens like we used to. Strange with all the million-dollar and multi-million-dollar homes being built in America, I've never heard of anyone building a bomb shelter for many, many years. Or maybe they do, I just don't know about it, but it just seems something, again, quite quaint from 60 plus years ago, which is so strange because, in our world today, there are many, many nations who have nuclear capabilities, and several of those nations are in hostile situations all the time. And you wonder when someone's going to decide to use that. It's very frightening. Besides nuclear weapons, we also have what's called dirty bombs. We have pandemics, and we also have biochemical weapons that people could use that would literally wipe out, millions of people and the destruction of basically maybe every inhabitant in the world. It's strange that right now we have, with wars that are going on, with different issues and different policies, unfortunately, from governments, we have several situations in the world that will result in the next decade of millions of people dying. And in fact, there are so many of these that they're too numerous for us to mention in our Sunday morning prayers. And let that sink in for a second. Welcome, I've already mentioned, to our video from St. Mark's Episcopal in Dalton, Georgia, and all those join us. We've got the situation where the potential destruction of all humankind. And as Christians and as believers, what should be our response, as inhabitants of this earth and also as believers in God? Well, one thing is, I don't know the answers to this, but one thing I read is that we need to realize that faith does not deny reality. There are many things out there that are real that we need to confront and honestly bring our fears to God. Not just acknowledge them, but bring our fears to God. It is very human to feel fear. Many characters in the Bible felt fear, including Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, the night before he was crucified. He expressed his own fear, so it's very human. But we as Christians are called to courage and have responsibility for stewardship of creation. We're called to have courage and called to work for peace and justice in the world as a response to all that's going on in the world. As Christians, our hope is in God. As it says in the end of the 8th chapter of Rome, nothing can separate us from God's love, not any of these potentials for disaster. We as Christians are called to face realities, acknowledge our fears, but live with hope. And remember that we live in God's kingdom, and nothing can separate us from God's love.